Could I ask you first to sort of share anything that's stood out to you? If there's anything from our last conversation with Jesse or perhaps earlier that you'd like to reflect back, I'm curious what you may have heard so far that you find interesting.
It's occurred to me that both you and Jesse have both acknowledged what to call it, a way of thought, a possibility, and dismissed it as Jesse's skeptical, doesn't believe it. For you, it's like beyond your purview, the transcendent, and that's unfortunate because that what you're saying is unclear and, kind of, that to me is the clearest thing I know. Whereas most of what's been said tonight, I mean this very kindly and with all respect, I haven't really been able to understand most of it. It's so I think that's really interesting that the well, I was going to say the immanent world, but that's
No, go on. You can say that. What do you mean by the immanent world?
Well, see, the immanent world. What I mean by the immanent world is something different to what most people.
That's okay. We'll introduce yours.
No, see, I'd want to use theirs. What about the manifest world, the physical world, the objective world, the world out here?
Oh, is that how you see most people use immanent, as sort of the manifest physical?
Yep.
Interesting. That's not how I usually hold that.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
How do you see it?
For me, I hold immanent as more like it's kind of the mess of not fully understanding, but at the same time participating in a relational trust that is just an absolute presence, like being present on the channel, the very presence of being entangled with each other at all. And then we can be confused with language and we can confuse ourselves and then come back to it. But what was, in a sense, what is there for us to return to is how we mutually locate each other in communication, almost as if being on the phone with someone, you might be confused at what someone's just said, but the phone line is remaining in kind of in continuity in a way.
Gosh, well, that's pretty interesting. No, that's not what I thought at all. Okay, well, in for a penny, in for a pound. The immanent world for me is the present life. The transcendent world is the next life.
Okay.
In Zen, there's an expression, your original face before your parents were born. What is your original face before your parents were born? Well, if your parents haven't been born, you haven't been born. So it's asking for, wow, there's you'd have to wonder what it's asking about.
Like the archetype of essence almost.
Well,
the original pattern of essence or something like
absolutely, that's exactly where I'm going. In Sufism, there's an expression, to die before you die. Well, I think those two expressions point towards the same reality. Who we were before we were born is who we are after we die. It's got to be the same. And it doesn't stop in between.
Is that the transcendent for you? The before and after is the transcendent.
Right.
Okay.
But that before and after must be here now. So the transcendent is before us, beneath, above, surrounding, and beyond us.
The always already?
Always already.
Right.
So it doesn't change. There's something in the conversation earlier about what doesn't change and the transcendent, something about it being static and fixed and therefore not
That's an attitude someone could take towards it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's what it is, right? I'm just kind of noting that partly what I'm doing here is attempting to kind of not, give a sense of openness of being able to bring in different perspectives on things, just because people can sometimes feel shut down from being able to participate just because they've been framed out to begin with.
Yep. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, well, so gravity. Gravity is a constant. Certainly in this postcode of the universe, gravity is a constant. Breathing. Breathing is a constant. Can't get by without it. Consciousness is a constant. Okay, we sleep. All right, well, that's just, sometimes when we're sleeping, we dream. So, okay, but there is dreamless sleep. Okay, well, we could debate whether there's consciousness in dreamless sleep or not. I don't want to debate that. I just want to suggest that gravity, breathing, and being aware are constants. But we wouldn't ordinarily think they were restricting and confining and inhibiting us and preventing us from being our true selves because, they're fixed and they don't change. Well, I would say the transcendent is like that as well. It's, sorry, folks, I'm a Gnostic. I know things. I've got to apologise. I know the transcendent is not like that. But you have to work that out for yourself. So, for me, everything is connected. Everything's connected. And when I say everything, I mean everything, without exception, without omission, without hidden reservation. Everything is connected to everything else, which actually means there's only one thing. And that one thing has been, is now, and will be what it is. It doesn't change. For some reason, which you have to work out for yourself, that one thing has produced the appearance of many things, including us. And in my view, in my philosophy, the purpose of life is to find out why the one thing produced us and everything else, which is to know ourselves and find God. So my kind of philosophy has an aim. It has a goal. There is something it's looking for, which is to know ourselves and to find God.
And it sort of completes at that point. Is it a philosophy of completion? That once you know and have found, does seeking come to an end and it's sort of just a resting in pure knowing?
Oh, yeah. Look, yes and no.
What's there left to do, basically? How would you articulate what there's left to do?
Oh, well, once you've found it, then the seeking stops because you've found it. What goes on then is living and being in it.
So can one be surprised by what happens once one has found it? Or is, in a sense, every surprise just the same as, me opening up the fridge, but I know what's in it because I stacked it last night and it's like, oh, nothing's changed in there, really. That's probably a better way,
Oh, yeah. No, look, that's not great question. Yeah, look, surprised by the joy of it, novelty, learning new words, egregore. Wow, who knew? Who knew? I didn't know. So I got had a look into egregore.
So it's almost kind of like, how have these people found their way to lose the one so massively? You know what I mean? It's like, do you don't understand any of this? They're totally, you know what I mean? But that's interesting, isn't it? Like how we can lose the plot is for me fascinating, because I see, like, every week I play football, it's like 40% of the pitch by the end of the game at one point or another has totally lost the plot. Like, it's absolute head loss over here. Do you know what I mean? And that's just at the psychological level of being frustrated, right? Of kicking the ball and someone else kicking their leg, and everyone's lost the plot.
Well, but you tend to lose the plot less often. You tend to lose the plot less badly, and you tend to regain the plot much quicker. It's not that you don't lose the plot, but I just wrote a book, ladies and gentlemen. It was published earlier this year. It's my story of developing my philosophy, Dust to God. It's on Amazon. You should do yourself a favour and buy it. When I was a teenager, and I'd so lost the plot, I talked myself into suicide, and I was very messed up. Still am, probably, but I'm much more comfortable with it now. I couldn't, and I found that one of my newest learnings is that self-knowledge is actually self-acceptance. We've always known who we are. Who else could we be? But we haven't always accepted who we are. We're looking for something else, someone else to be. I reckon.
Can I give you a moment where I sometimes wonder, again, about who I am? And it's another football analogy. And but maybe we could all imagine, for those of us who might be, willing enough to be caught up in the dream of such things, taking a penalty in the World Cup final. Sometimes people score them and sometimes people miss them. And I think the truth is no one knows actually who is going to score and who's going to miss. And we can sometimes say, oh, that guy, he looked confident, he looked not confident. But sometimes someone looks not confident and scores, and sometimes someone is confident, the best in the world, and will slip and miss it. But in that moment, one also finds out not necessarily who one is in the deepest sense, although one does, participate in writing something into the story, the fabric of reality, in a way that one will then have to come to adjust to and integrate and all of that. And that, to me, is an analogy that we participate in, the kind of novelty that brings something into reality regarding which we cannot be complete in our understanding of before we sort of step into and through it. We have to change in order to stay with the plot, in a sense. The plot changes. And so that seems to me like the connectedness is a moving connectedness that participates in its own change. So there's a becoming, and then there's a return to what has occurred, and maybe some new rhythm or something new to integrate. And so, yes, and then there's a piece there on the transcendent. It's.
Could I just, sorry, you've got it there before you're speaking, Tim.
That's right.
Putting words to it is the problem. You know what it is. You already know what it is, but to put words to it and bring it out into this world, that's the task, that's the journey. But you already know what it is that you want to say. You just don't yet know how to say it. That's the oneness.
Yeah, well, there's something about actually living our lives that we have to go and do in order to sort of affirm the... So I think about it as kind of like, as potential and with a tremendous amount of contingency. Like I don't think there's a certain sense in which on your philosophy, is this knowing of the oneness, is it fate? Is it essentially fate that our activity is in a sense pre-scripted, but we ourselves are actually just figuring out how to read the script, but the script's been written? Is that a fair characterization?
Oh, no, I'm not entirely comfortable.
It doesn't sound right, does it?
No.
It doesn't sound right, but that's partly how, like, I really want to understand how that's not what you're actually saying.
Okay, so you talk about fate. Well, that to me, it sort of means something that's going to come in a minute or a month or whatever that fate is. So there's here now, and then there's fate coming. So there's time in there. There's, which to me is duality, which also, if there is fate, then there might be something else. So there's alternatives that, well, all of those alternatives, the differences and distances of time, they aren't oneness. They're multiplicity. Yeah, the oneness is what it is. It's in us right now. We're in it now. We've always been in it. It never goes anywhere. All multiplicity comes from our partial thoughts about it, our alternatives to it. All multiplicity comes from us standing apart from the oneness and interrogating it. Well, because we're standing apart from it, we've created two. There's the oneness, or our version of it, and us. And we're interrogating it. We've got to give ourselves up. We've got to surrender ourselves. This is something else that I was thinking earlier on this evening. My philosophy isn't about creating ourselves. Yeah, in a sense, I might even say it's not about creating anything at all. It's about being, and it's about revealing, it's about uncovering, it's about discovering, it's about allowing to be what always has been, and we kind of set up alternatives to what always has been. And these are the egregores. The egregores are our human versions of Beatlemania is my favourite egregore. Some of us are old enough to remember Beatlemania. Like a spirit of the group, was it? Yeah, look at the Swifties. Absolutely. Oh, I think they're fabulous egregores. I think they're wonderful, but they're human constructions. And unfortunately, they often distract us from the oneness of things. They get us caught up in something that's passing, and we have to work harder and harder and harder to keep up with this passing thing until we either give that up or we die trying. That the oneness doesn't require us to make an effort to keep up with it at all. We've got to we give up making the effort. To be the way we always have been.
If everyone did that, there's a, sometimes people make a joke of like all of a sudden, achieving that point of sort of recognition or understanding, and then just sort of slumping and drooling because there's really nothing else left to do.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
And if too many people did that, in fact, like, would not the oneness reveal itself to be just all the myriad potential of music as such, but no instruments or songwriters actually playing it?
Oh, that's kind of lovely. Yeah, look, there is a That's a common. I've heard that one. Sorry, I think that's a profound misconception. I reckon we all know what it is to experience a realization. And in that moment of realization, where you suddenly realize something, oh my God, you just realize it. What you're realizing and who you are and where you are, it's all connected in that actual experience of realization or insight or intuitive knowing. It's a different level or mode or activity of consciousness that connects us to everything. And we're right in it. You suddenly realize, oh my God, I've left my keys at home. Well, now you've got to go and get your keys. And the moment of realization passes.
There's a sense in which that's kind of like waking up into yet another dream, though, because why care about the keys?
Well, okay, you're picking up on the content, and that's always going to be the weakness if I specify. But it's the quality of realization, Tim, not the content. It's the quality of experience wherein we are connected with everything. And we experience that in realization, in insight, in intuition, in unveiling, the Sufis call it. It's a realization. And in that experience of realization, we and everything are all connected. And it's bright and it's full and it's true and it's real and it's good and it's incomparable, and you don't want or need anything more than it. And then the moment passes because we're human and we get back into our human way of thinking, and we forget that realization. We might remember the content, but the actual experience of it, that's not our normal way of thinking.
I agree. I definitely understand what you're saying there. Can I share with you one of the ways I like to, how I find it helpful to sort of think about and recognize the meaning of transcendence without claiming to say, here's what transcendence means. But the word play of trance ending, the ending of the trance, and that moment of realization that you're speaking to. Here I was on my way to the car, and I think I'm going to get in the car and go drive down to do the thing, but I've forgotten my keys, right? The trance of that particular activity and the attitude I had going on there has ended. And now there's this moment, right, where I sort of maybe take on a new trance but for me, it's not so much that, it's a choice. The ending of the trance is an opening to choice. And in that, we're sort of, it seems to me that we participate in making and creating through that transcendence. But that it speaks to something which evolves I really like the Whitehead phrase, the many become one and are increased by one. And so the many, or the multiplicity that I'm lost in, become one and are increased by one, because that integrative move opens then the possibility to act from a place that is less in, that's less bound up in the particular shadows on the wall, right? And I think where we in our conversations keep returning to is somewhere in the question of how radical is creativity in the sense of novelty entering into cosmos as such, entering it, versus how much is what is simply to so pre-existing, always already, just to realize. And I feel as though I know that quality of letting something go and returning to a deeper ground of what matters, or value, or quality of just an isness, and to sort of go again from that place, and you might say get lost or get taken up by the next human thing. But in terms of the actual activity of, or in terms of the activity of movement after realization, it seems to me that that is like just as real. It matters just as much as the return of the realization. And so I've always liked whole making rather than just returning to a already complete wholeness. That's how my, we can say mind, but it's not just mind, because it's also this sense of being honest about like my own not knowing and my own contingency. It's like, you know, we could just say from your perspective, it might be, well, naturally I'm going to get lost in a role and get caught up in things. That's what human beings do. And I'm basically agreeing with that and saying that, but, you know, getting caught up in the next thing is not just what humans do, but is part of just what reality is, you know? I think that's where I keep coming from, as a place of that's distinct from what you're speaking to. And the question is, am I actually really understanding enough of what you're saying so as to be able to say there's a genuine distinction here?
Yeah, so look, there's something in me that was never born, and it's never going to die, and I'm in no doubt about that. And in those moments of realization, I'm as in touch with it as I can be. I could be more in touch with it, but I'm in touch with it. And that unborn, undying it that I'm in touch with is immense in its, well, see, I'd say actuality, but other people might say possibility. I don't really care which word is used. It's absolutely immense.
That might be precisely it. It might be that I'm more called to say potential, and you're more called to say actual there.
Yeah.
And a lot of what follows in terms of why I'm saying this and you're saying that might be to do with that, maybe.
Yeah.
I know I'm interrupting you slightly. I just think you may have put your finger on something.
Okay, so I reckon we have the realization. We're in the moment. We're in the oneness. It's absolutely immense. And we could stay there. The Buddha, the story is when he gained enlightenment, he was just sitting under the tree and he just sat there and he had nothing better to think about and he was not going to teach. He just sat there, just, I don't know, was he drooling? I don't think he was drooling. That sort of seems a bit unbecoming of the Buddha to be drooling.
But it's almost like a logical consequence, though, isn't
possibly,
it? Because why care about not drooling? Because it's like, oh, well, actually, there's sort of like, there's something a little bit more becoming. Interestingly, when Tara and we were on the car here, I was chewing some gum and she made me take it out because she said, that's not very becoming to go to an event like that. But isn't that an interesting turn of phrase, becoming, right? It wouldn't be very becoming of the Buddha to just be sitting there drooling. But the point here is that the Buddha doesn't need to become because he's realized.
That's right.
So actually there's something, I don't like it because there's not enough becoming in there, is there?
Okay, so
he's not pointing the direction of where this oneness might be inviting us that, hey, this way rather than that way. Because as soon as we care for this way rather than that way, that seems to me there's like a radical contingency that's open. And so the oneness is a question in part. It's a question. It's not already resolved.
Yeah, it's a question from your side of the table. It's an answer from my side.
Yeah.
That for me, the point of it, whether you call it potential or actual, it contains the sum totality of all, because it's the interconnection of everything. It's past, present, and future, and everything we could do, all our choices, all our possibilities arise from that ground. And we carry them out, we carry them through, and then we complete the task, or we get bored and we give up, and we just rest back down into the oneness again. And that's the cycle of it. And it goes like that our whole life, that we're always in it. We rise up from it. We wander around. We get caught up in. We lose the plot. We find the plot again. But we always come back to this point where we rest in peace without doubt. Do we notice it? So I think in that moment, the car keys example was unfortunate because it carries something with it. But in a moment of realization, when you suddenly realize what it is that I'm talking about, when I describe the oneness, you go, oh my God, this is what he meant. Well, that's it. That's it. You don't, it's everything you could ever want or be. And you've already got it. And you go, oh my God, what a relief. I've already got it. So it's the end of striving. It's the end of seeking. It's the end of being driven. It's the end of all of that sort of stuff. If you want to go and do something, by all means, knock yourself out. If you want to sit there and drool, help yourself. Doesn't matter.
Well, I suppose it would be the appropriate rebuttal for me to say, to be continued. And so thank you very much for joining. That was a beautiful articulation.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah,
Always
honestly,
a pleasure.
thank you. Thank you.
Always a pleasure.